even or Gradle to actually do that and fetch the dependencies as well. So it doesn't have a true, I don't call it a true build system, but in terms of
starting.
I don't know, it's kind of, I still like linking in C++ or C though, because
Almost live.
oh, almost live. Yeah.
Okay, it is okay.
Just check the audio.
Well, can't check here.
Smart for the camera.
There's a microphone number.
Yes, last week.
Thank you very much.
Last week the audio actually was fast.
Yeah, I'll try not to scream into the mic.
So when you're creating a skill, so perhaps if you so you either do it.
I've grown fond of this presentation theme, so I use it every time.
Okie dokie. Welcome everybody. Our 23rd class. So a couple of updates. First of all, please RSVP on Skills Matter website. Yes, I can recognize very easily who did register because it will have like written, yes, like not manually written names. So if you did it, if you have something like this, you did not do the homework. I forgot it, sorry. But apart from that, I did, yes, and I sent lots of reminders. So nobody's perfect. In this instance, I'm not perfect. I'm not talking about them. Now, as you probably know, today we should have Phil Nash. Unfortunately, something popped out, and Phil is really sorry. He couldn't make it. Something changing in his life, and basically we had to switch it over. So what we're doing today, we'll talk today about Cmake and something else. I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly what we agree. But the good thing is, from 1st of May, we're starting one more time, like another version of same course, but this time I think we'll be basing it on this book. Yes, I think I got nod from our gurus. So basically, the idea is behind it is to make it easier for students and for teachers to basically go. They tell us which chapter to read, and it's easier, and obviously we will be happier to follow. What else? There will be after this session. Am I correct? There will be an exam. So for whoever wants to take it, and obviously people who will pass, and they'll get a certificate from us.
You mean next week?
Next week? Is it next week?
Hold on, there's an exam next week.
Definitely not an exam this week.
It's not.
Yeah, it's a surprise, guys.
Actually, I've changed my mind.
No. Sorry, no. It's not next week. It's on the 24th. On 17th is there's exam. So in 2 weeks' time. But exam is in project base. So somebody will be given a project and certain amount of time. Yes, off-site. So you don't have to do it basically in a class. And your job is basically to build the project and then come back and explain how and why did you do it in such a way.
Is it one-on-one or in teams?
It's individual.
Individuals. What else? What else? Did I miss anything?
We're going to have a revision session next week, and that's what
Yeah.
we'll do the test of the give out the test project.
Yeah. Had a question?
Yeah, do you read about the book?
Well, we will be based the next course on this book, so I would say
It's recommended.
yeah, it is.
If you can, then do it.
It's like this. We will explain everything, but if you have a book, you can read the chapter beforehand. So basically, the idea is for me, it's to tell you, the order of the chapters, so you can read them before and feel more prepared. And there's lots of exercises, if I remember, inside that book. So it's quite nice thing.
If you don't care much about copyright, I might give you something.
Possibly
We don't know anything about it.
Obviously, we do not advocate. We advocate everybody to go and buy. Bjorn definitely spent lots of time preparing and writing, so it's a good idea to buy his book.
You can also get it in ebook format.
Yeah.
And we don't want to know how you got that format, please.
And obviously, after a meeting today, everybody is welcome to go with us to pub and have a general chat. And always, end of the week, we have a lunch. Usually it's Thursday or Friday.
Well, Vietnamese restaurant.
Sorry?
The Vietnamese restaurant?
Definitely not. Definitely not. And we're going for the lunch to basically discuss, what will be for the next sessions and so on. So you're very welcome because we need more feedback. We want to hear from you what you want to pass to us. So that's all from me. I'm sorry about the delay. There was some problems, technical problems starting up the gizmo. I think the TV and a couple of things were changed. So without much more of me boring you.
The last question before we start, just to get an indicative idea of that book, how much we are supposed to cover. I assume probably we are going to be flexible to see how the class goes on.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go on.
We are supposed to take all the book, or we focus on some parts in particular?
I think we agreed our approach is going to be we're going to pick and choose from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go over certain chapters and we'll probably give you exercise because each chapter ends with some exercises. So we might pick some exercises from it.
Okay.
Again, do it's going to be like when you had maths lessons at school. So you had a textbook, but you didn't necessarily start at the beginning and end at the end. So you might say we're going to do chapter 3 or chapter 12 or these 3 pages, something to something, that sort of thing.
It's not going to be a linear start to finish approach.
Perfect. Thank you.
So for me that's all, and I'm passing now to Ollie.
Okay. So, just some background. Part of the purpose of this particular session is that since we thought about the test we're going to do, we said it would probably be useful if you guys can actually make your project build in a fairly decent way that you would do if you were doing a pet project or a company project in a company. So, with that in mind, Cmake 101. Well, what is Cmake? Hopefully, most people here have a pretty good idea. So, firstly, as you may not expect, it's not strictly a build system. What it actually is a build system generator. And to explain that, everyone here, I assume, knows what, say, make is, right? Make files. You've heard of that term, yeah? So Cmake isn't a make file, but it generates a make file. So you configure your Cmake script with whatever targets you want to build, and then depending on where you're building, what host you're on, what platform you're on, it will generate a particular build system. So on Linux, this can be just standard GNU make files. On Windows, it can be Microsoft's Visual Studio solution and project. So you can just spit it out. You click it, it just opens the Visual Studio. You've got everything there. Mac, it's got Xcode, but it's also got make files again. It's got a ton of different generators, and each platform generally has a default one. You can always pick your own. Okay, so. In terms of the actual concept of Cmake, you write some scripting, you define an overall project. The project doesn't represent a particular portion of code, it's just an overall definition that sort of wraps everything up and encompasses everything you want to build within it. So those are effectively your targets. Okay. So an important thing to note is that directives that you write in the Cmake scripts typically only get executed when you actually generate your build system. So to give a good example of this, and a horrible misuse of Cmake is that, say you've got like 50 source files, right? You've got 50 C++ files, and you can't be bothered to explicitly name them all in the Cmake list. So what you can do instead is you can use this file glob feature and just match a regex, so like star.cpp. Sounds great. Not really. If you do this, then when you run Cmake, it will run the file glob, and it will then go, yeah, okay, it's these 50 files. And then it will spit out your, say, make file, and then you can run make. Now, there is a hook inside the actual build system's output, so that if the Cmake list file changes, so you modify your Cmake code, it will detect that and it will rerun Cmake for you. But if that script itself doesn't change, then it thinks it's got nothing to do. So you've done your file log, and you ran Cmake, and there were 50 files, and then you're like, okay, I'll add a new source file, and you add a new source file, and you go to build, and it's just completely ignoring it, because the Cmake list didn't change. Now you can just manually rerun Cmake every time, and then it's okay. But generally speaking, even kitware themselves say like just explicitly name your source files. Okay, so additionally, Cmake is actually a bit more than just Cmake. It's got Cpack and Ctest. We're not going to go into those really too much today. After Phil's done Catch 2, we might go into Ctest. Cpack's fairly trivial, depending on which target you want. Cpack effectively lets you build installers, so after Cmake has compiled all the stuff, you can use Cpack to get like an MSI for Windows, or maybe a RPM package or dev package, depending on whatever platform you want to release for. So it's very convenient for actually just being able to spit out something that can be installed on Linux distributions or Windows or Mac or whatever. Additionally, it's up to you how old a version of Cmake you're willing to support. So for example, you can go all the way back to say 2.8, which is ancient, but then consequently you can't use any of the nice new functionality in Cmake. Personally, my sort of feeling on this is I think 3.2 is a reasonable minimum these days. If it's not really something you're doing for work, I would push for 3.6 or above, because people running this horrible old versions.
I find whatever the latest Ubuntu's LTS version is, which unfortunately I think is still 2.8, which is ancient.
Doesn't know, but I think they have a separate apt-get package. You can apt-get Cmake free, and it will get it. Yeah. Okay. So as I just said, consequently, if you want to support something old, it limits what you can do. It's not a very nice experience. Cmake in general is not that easy to use, but they've added more and more convenience over the years. If you want to focus on an old one, unless you're doing very simple things, it becomes a real pain. Cmake is great if you want to write, scalable build systems for huge interconnected projects. Note, not trivially, it does require a lot of 4.4, but it gives you the tools to do it. On the other hand, it also gives you the tools to just shoot yourself in the face. So it's kind of like PHP really in that sense. There's some terrible PHP. It's easy to write badly, right? It's easy to write, but easy to write badly. Okay, so let's look at some of the core concepts of Cmake. Now, for builders, I specifically mean people who are just trying to build someone's Cmake, not someone who cares about writing one. So the actual Cmake command on the command line, or the little GUI they have now, what they've had for a while, will generate the native systems build system, whatever that happens to be, makefiles, Visual Studio, Xcode, blah blah blah. Do note the default build type, if applicable, and what I mean by that is that certain targets, such as Visual Studio, don't actually have a build type, because also when it generates the solution file and project in Visual Studio, you select what you're gonna actually build then. So build type only applies to sort of script-based builds like makefiles, Ninja, etc. Yes.
Sorry, just to point out that the default, if you don't specify generator, the default one on the Mac is makefiles, not Xcode project.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh right, sorry.
I wasn't saying it's not
okay.
claiming that Xcode is the default. Yeah. There's a massive amount of variables that Cmake takes for controlling the output. This is useful in many cases because someone can sort of quickly throw together something in Cmake, but then you decide it's performance critical and you need it to build link time optimized and all this stuff, and the guy that wrote the Cmake script just did a very simple, naive one. You can just throw in a ton of options on the command line and make it all come together and work. Speaking from experience on that one. On the other hand, badly written Cmake lists cause a lot of pain. Going back to my LTO example from just then, I've had a couple of third-party libraries where the Cmake lists try to massage certain Cmake variables and they override whatever I defined, and I ended up having to fork the code, modify the Cmake list so that it didn't just say, I don't care what you want in this option, and allow me to get on and build optimized builds that I needed. Now, for developers. So obviously, as I said before, it's structured with an overarching project. So this project bit we'll see in a second. And then a bunch of targets that you can define. So those can be applications. So that's simply add executable, which means it's going to build something that can just run. Libraries, which is add library. So it's going to build something that, for that particular system type, is something you can link to either statically or dynamically. That's up to you, of course. You can build one, the other, or both. And then, of course, you have custom targets. Cmake doesn't know what these custom targets are specifically. They are just going to be some command, potentially some command, that you want it to run. So maybe that target just does, touch some file or echo some content to a file. But then, obviously, the idea of making a custom target is that you probably want to make another target depend on it. So you could maybe have a custom target that generates a header file, and so then you have probably got some code you're going to build that depends on it. You can then just depend on that custom target. You tell Cmake what source code is for which target, which is a lovely, well-written sentence there. The basic idea of what I'm trying to get across is that you just write your source code, you give Cmake a list of that source code, and it will take care of making the machine spit out whatever it needs in order to generate a library, generate an executable. It provides you very rich capabilities for tracking dependencies and also for discovering them. So it comes with a whole load of modules like find boost, find OpenGL. There's so many of them. If you just go to the documentation page, there's literally tons. And additionally, because of the way that Cmake is designed, if you are writing a library, you can write a little Cmake script to go along with your library, and assuming, say you use Ubuntu, assuming the Ubuntu guys make sure that the library gets installed to the standard places, Cmake can go and search, and you can just do find package, whatever name it is, and hopefully it can find that Cmake script that the library developer wrote. It finds that and goes, oh yeah, great, I found that library, cool. So it's also very good for actually managing dependencies. And of course, the entry point is just case sensitive on Linux, obviously. Cmake lists Cmake lists.txt. So that is the opening script. You can have multiple ones. You can nest them, stick them in other folders. But we're not going to get too much into that today. But if anyone wants to, then I'll be happy to discuss it with them. So let's just do a line-by-line examination of what is the simplest possible Cmake lists.txt that you can do. So the first bit is you have to state the minimum version that your Cmake script is going to support. So I just said 3.2 very arbitrarily here. Then you need to actually define the project. Again, this is not actually anything tangible. This does not result in anything being built.
Do they have to be in brackets? Those values?
Yes, this is actually a proper syntax. It's got rules. Yeah, it's not that fluid. So I decided to call it my project. Okay, so now we get on to the actual meat of it. So we have add executable. I decided to call my executable you can run me. So if this happens to be running on Windows, you can run me.exe. If it's running on Linux, obviously it doesn't need a file extension. And it just so happens that I have main.cpp, extra stuff.cpp, and this is particularly noteworthy, extra stuff.h. Now the reason I'm adding the header file is for the benefit of people who are using project-based generators. If I don't add the header files, it will still compile just fine, because obviously the header file doesn't or shouldn't contain any code that actually compiles, right? It should just be declarations, not definitions. But if you have, say, if someone wants to generate a Visual Studio project from all this, If you don't add extra stuff.h, they're not going to see it in the project, and that's going to be really annoying because it's still they're going to see it in the source file that it's referenced, hash include da da da, and then they're looking like, why is it not there? So if you want to be conscientious about people using Xcode or Visual Studio, then make sure to include your header files. This is obviously not the way you would do it. If it was a large number of files, you would break this up into variables. You can just call set and declare variables for all the chunks of sorts that you've got.
So sorry, if I don't put as a stuff.h, I don't even see the other files. Simply
No, if you don't put extra stuff.h, it just won't show up in a files list if you say generate Visual Studio project.
Okay.
It won't affect compilation in any way. It just makes it.
no warning whatsoever.
No, it won't affect compilation because the compiler only cares about source files. The compiler will just see hash include and off it goes. It's a bit annoying for the person who's trying to hack on it or develop the project because they now have to manually open it. It's obviously irritating. But okay, these 3 lines are basically it. Let's poke a bit more in there. So, getting a little bit fancier, we're going to declare target include directories. So this says given a target. So this is obviously a target we've declared here. It's an executable target. We're saying that we want this thing to have an include directory added to the compiler's argument list. So when the build system that Cmake creates is invoked, it's going to make sure the compiler is told, oh, by the way, make sure you check this directory for any hash included files. So in this case, I just put path to this made up library, this include folder. So if one of the source files includes some header that lives in that path, then everything will be fine because we've told Cmake will make sure the compiler knows about it. And then there is target link libraries. Again, the name of the target, the executable file. And in this case, it's just a file called lib. Oh no, we've gone no. It's a file called lib in this folder. You can give it. You don't have to give it a fully qualified path if it's libraries that are part of your system. So, say for example, you install, Boost to your actual your Windows or Linux or whatever. You could just specify Boost underscore system, for example. Although if it was Boost, I wouldn't recommend doing that because there's find Boost, and that would, there's proper ways of doing that. Okay, and then we've got set target properties.
You always need to repeat the name. You can run me.
So when it's these target ones, they're all protected. And you can look these up. Think of these as like kind of function calls, right? It's a function call, and it's taking some parameters. So target include directories takes as the first argument the actual target you want to apply the rule to. Same for this one, and again same for set target properties. So it's saying this target, we declared the target here, and of course you must declare it first. So we couldn't move this down here. It would fail. You have to actually declare it first. So in set target properties, I just decided to demonstrate how you would make sure that your code is compiled with the correct C++ standard. You do obviously the name of the target, and then this is just the word properties. You just have to put the word properties there. It's just telling Cmake I'm going to put the properties after.
Doesn't matter, is it capital or lowercase?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. I always use capitals because
I believe it's insensitive, so you can.
Yeah, I think I can certainly say that these can be all caps lock. You can uppercase all these. I suspect it may be case sensitive. So in this case, I say the properties following are C++ standard, CXX standard. I want to use C++ 14, and then the next property is CXX standard required. I want to say yes, so that means that if the compiler cannot do C++ 14, we'll refuse to generate the build system. We'll just say no, sorry, it can't work because there's no point.
So if you skip the standard required is not present or is no, what will happen?
If it's not present or no, then it will, when you generate the build system, Cmake, in the console, you'll see it say, oh, well, we really want 14 here, but okay. So it won't fail anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You might fail to compile. If your code is C++ 14, it's physically going to fail to compile, but Cmake doesn't know anything about that. Cmake's job is just to pass arguments to the compiler. If your code happens to be incompatible, it's just going to fail to build. And then we have an install. directive. So first of all, you say I'm going to list the targets. Obviously, you only have one target because I didn't declare any others. So it's called you can run me, and then we say we want the runtime, which is the executable piece of it, to go into the destination folder called bin. So when someone invokes this, then you might set the install prefix to say /user. Then when they run the make install, it's going to end up in user bin. All right. So
how does that option do on Windows?
What option?
The install.
Install option.
Presumably it doesn't go in user bin.
I think on Windows you can't just install, because I don't think like even Nmake, I don't think has the capability to do install. But if you generate an MSI with Cpack, yeah,
it's going to go in your program file.
Yeah, it should done. Well, you can configure Cpack as well, but that's like a subdirectory under that part. Okay, so how would we typically do a build? So the first thing to mention is don't do your build inside where the actual source is and your Cmake lists lives. The whole point of Cmake is that you can literally create an entirely empty folder and then do run Cmake and then the path to wherever the sources do live, hit enter, and it just generates all that build system for you in this nice build tree directory, and it knows where all the sources are because you pointed it at them at the start, so you don't end up polluting your nice directory for hacking on the source code with all this output crap. So yeah, just make a directory somewhere else. The simplest you can possibly do is a debug build, which by default is just Cmake without any arguments. So you just call the Cmake command. Do note on some distributions of Linux, Cmake will be the old Cmake 2, and Cmake 3 will actually be the command for the nicer, newer version. And then you just give it the path to the project. And obviously in this project folder it's expecting to find a Cmake list.txt. If it doesn't, then it's going to go, can't help you. For releasing a little bit more, in this case we do -d. So -d is for any kind of directive you want to define or override, set an option, whatever. And in this case we're saying Cmake build type equals release, and then finally again path to the project folder. I should have made a separate bullet point, but never mind. If we need or want to, the -d argument can be used to actually specify a different generator. So for example on Linux it generally defaults to the makefile. If I have Ninja installed, Ninja is actually a faster build system than GNU Make, I can do -g and then Ninja capital N and it will generate that instead. And then next we actually physically build it. So just running either of these two doesn't actually produce any output. All it does is generate your makefile or your Visual Studio project or whatever. It's up to you to then open that thing or run that thing. So obviously on Linux that would just be run make, or on Windows open the SLN file and get all your projects that live inside it. Okay, time to do a bit of practice. Head over to this URL, which was made by the Cmake guys. Don't really bother going too far with it. As soon as you've got an executable that builds and runs, just stop there. You don't need to go through the whole tutorial. I will just click into this so you can see it. I can show you where to start. So stop at step 1, good enough. Yeah, I'd say step 1's good enough, but so we'll allocate 10 minutes for it. So go as far as you like in 10 minutes. It won't be harmful to go further. If anybody online wants any help or to ask any questions, feel free.
So far, it's okay. No questions.
Oh, wait. Getting some weird links with this. Let's see.
So do we need to download Cmake for this?
I mean, you should already have Cmake if you've been doing any of the.
No, but do we need the source?
No. If you've been able to build the tasks you've done previously, then you should be set. On second thought, if you once you have managed to get an executable building, then you can stop there. For reasons that shall be revealed shortly. Also, the contents of the C++ file is not particularly important. You can just have an int main return 0. You don't even need return 0 actually. I try to open a terminal here. Doesn't work, does it? No, we're going to do this. So just to do a live code along to see how fast we can do this. Main.cpp. You know what? I don't care at all. We're just going to have that. Good enough. It's got an implicit return 0 anyway. Alright, so based on the tutorial I need 3 lines, I think. I'll come back. Probably should make this more readable, shouldn't I? How can I size this up? Bigger. plus. Oh lordy. Is that readable?
Yes.
Okay. Completely. Alright, that's 3 lines, simple. Let's make a build dir. Go to the build dir, Cmake build off, as in the directory above. I can't type properly. Yeah, I can't type properly, now I can. And
display.
Oh yeah, look at that, lovely. Cool. And that's the make file. And that's the thing. And I built a useless executable. Brilliant. Done.
So what you do? I'm sorry, because I wasn't paying attention. I was watching, trying to do this.
Where are you at? Where are you at right now?
Okay, I created the two files, cmake.txt.
Cmake lists.
Cmake. So cmake list, yes.
Yeah, if you look at my screen, you can see the file. That's literally just that.
Okay, it's done. And what after that?
So you should probably have a main, or call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cmake list is just three lines, and if you look at the tutorial, it says it right here. That's literally all you need.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay. I mean, you don't, I wouldn't. Again, the idea isn't to copy the tutorial verbatim. You're not going to learn anything by just doing it exactly what it says. Because you can say I varied it myself. I said I'm going to do 3.2, and I said I'm going to call it thingy, and I said I'm going to call my executable main thing. And I said I'm going to use main.cpp, not cxx, or not tutorial.cxx. So once you've done that, I just decided to make a subdirectory called build. So I can go into build. This is where I was going to build it. I just ran the cmake command. So to generate, let me get rid of it. Hold on. Yes. So empty build directory, yeah. So just to show you on. So that's the project directory, right? You've got cmake list.txt. You've got a folder called build, and you've got a main.cpp. So I'm currently in the build folder. I'm going to do cmake dot, as in the project directory is one level up. I could alternatively just do, like Cmake, that's where it lives. I could do that as well, but I'll just do .out. And then it's going to generate all crap. Ta-da! So now if we look at the build directory, there's all the stuff that Cmake generated. Hurrah! Got a make file, I can just run make, and it's built. Does this work if I do the dose equals 1? Yeah, it does. So I'll do it again, you'll see the actual compiler command that it does. Straightforward enough so far?
Cool, yes. Works.
Cool, okay. So let's go on something more meaty then.
How do you specify different compiler? How do you specify different compiler?
Cmake _C _ compiler. So let me give you an example of this. We won't actually work on a Mac, but I can show you.
CXX compiler.
Yeah, so example GCC, and then we do -d cmake cxx equals G++. Or you substitute for bang ++. Okay, let me try and get my slides back because I don't know what's happened here, but it's not playing ball. No, not there. Then, oh whatever, I'll just do this. Right, on to the meaty stuff. Go to this URL. GitHub.com, CPP London Uni, Cmake 101. Sec folks, I'm going to switch to another screen. So we'll want to I've not got it ready. Come on. Connect. Yeah, it's having a hissy fit. Oh, look at that.
Are you using Aurora or the VM?
Yeah. Right, so this thing said that I made, and I've completely forgotten what I need to do. Right, so we've got a set of tasks, so let's just clone it and go from there. Actually, why am I cloning it? I made it.
Just make sure it works.
I mean, there's not anything that couldn't work. 'Cause it's,
Forgot to commit something. It's the only reason I reclone it just to make sure it
Okay.
it's just
Oh no, I mean, it's, I know my Git skills are definitely not that bad. Right. So first task is
You're lucky
basically.
you're going out live on the internet and I can't send good things on time.
Feel free. So basic executable builds task 1. So you crack this open. Should have just said DD. Okay. So generate executable widget. Blah blah blah. Okay. So has it been required? I can't even remember now. It is minimum required. Wow. Executable. So our SRC folder. Now there's actually 2 ways you can do this. So I'm going to do it the slightly simpler way first, and then demonstrate the more I don't know, nice version. But yeah, we've got our include. Okay, so let's go back. Let's do. I don't even need that, do I? Okay, so I think the spec just said to do that for task 1. If I succeeded, then it will say that thing. Okay, so. What did I get wrong here? Is it this? I think I missed directories in there as well. Actually, I think it's widget, isn't it? This is where I really recommend the reference. Yeah, let's just do this. Never remember half these bloody commands. Target. Interface like private. Yeah, of course. So that can be private because I don't care to share it just yet. Hooray! And does it build? No. Oh dear, did I screw up the silly me. Alright, 1 second, we need to push a fix, folks. SLC/widget. Okay, it's fixed. Sorry about that. clear, if you've cloned it already, well, you would have cloned it already, just wipe whatever you've got and reclone it. That should be good now.
Can I do an update?
You can, but you'll have to do a hard reset to fetch head because I amended the commit, which I'm now sorry for because that will make it a pain to just pull. So you could, but you have to reset. Right. So if I go to build directory now, hopefully my silly mistakes should be fixed. No, because I just need everything I did. Right, it's fixed. Cool. It's good. Alright, so that's basically task 1 done. So I believe the next task I do is do the library. Okay, so just one thing I'll demonstrate before I move on to task 2 is that a slightly more idiomatic way of doing Cmake is to actually put your target in the subdirectory. So as you can see, we've got a root level Cmake list here, right? So we'll have this thing here, and what we'll do is we'll just take these away, and instead we'll do add subdirectory, and then src. And then what Cmake will do is it will automatically drop into the src folder. However, that means that now it expects to find a Cmake list.txt inside the source folder. So in this one I can just dump that, and in theory it should just work. Build here again, Cmake dot. No, of course it won't because I need to change the parse. So the parse are relative. So now that it's already in src, I don't need to specify that because this Cmake list lives in the source folder, and the root level one sends it in there.
Does
So
it include path that needs to be tweaked?
that is indeed going to need to be tweaked as well. So do that, and then it's good. And now if I Cmake it, it works. It works. It definitely works. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to add the library target. So since we started this, we'll stay with it. Add library. And we don't need the main.cpp. It's not part of it, so I was slightly naughty here. Technically, if I was going to be a nice person, I would do what was it? Right. But since we really care about Linux, I'm not going to bother. Okay, so we want our which.cpp in there. And again, this time I'm going to make it public. And the reason for that is that the header of the library is something you want to make accessible. That generally only affects installing. I haven't done an install directive now, so it doesn't mean that much. Right back to the build folder. Cmake should courteously, there we go. We generated a static library. Cool. For LSSRC, you'll see it. Oh wait, no you won't, no you won't.
Yeah, it is. I can see it.
Oh yeah, I'm blind. Okay, so that's task 2 done. Yeah, so it's not generated a dynamic, it's defaulted to static in my case. There is an option you can use to play with that, I forget what it is. Okay, so you've got a library. Also, actually, the act of building dynamic or static is the action you can specify as a builder on the command line. So it's always good to be mindful, like, as the developer who's building it, how much should I imbue into Cmake, and how much should I leave up to the developer? Because you can always have like bash scripts and that around your Cmake for your debug options, but anyone else who's building it's probably not going to care or actually want them. Okay, so we're on install phase, cool. So let's do it. So I guess we're going to install both. Well, this is where my memory fails me, so I'm just going to go to here. The Cmake documentation is great. Covers pretty much everything. So I've gone 310. So let's see, install targets, blah blah blah. Yeah, cool. Okay. Targets widget lib, and then we want to specify the runtime directory. So runtime destination bin, and then we want to do archive destination lib. And I believe, since it's only generated a static one, that's all it needs, but let me just double check. Archive library. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's archive, but we'll just define library as well, so why not? Okay. Let's do the Cmake cache, because it causes problems. Cmake install prefix? Pretty sure it is. Yeah. And of course it's using GC485, which should be fine. So now in theory, if I do make, it's going to do that. If I do that, it did indeed behave itself. So I now have an out folder. And as you can see, we've got a bin folder and a lib folder. If I just run find dot, you can see it consists of the widget executable, the bin folder, and the actual static library in the lib folder. Okay, so what else we got here? And features. Yes, I wanted to do this one. Alright, I hope I didn't mess this one up. Okay. So this is a nice one. This. So we can just define it. Define the option ahead of the executable. What do they call it? Show secret message. Yeah, okay. So we'll call it that as well. So this is where you're getting a bit tricky with Cmake. So option is a newer feature. You can also achieve the same thing with set. It's not showing yet. So Alright, so this now will potentially set the option. And then we want to actually set the pre-process definitions. So I believe it's this, target compile definitions. So this command basically allows you to specify definitions that should show up in the preprocessor. So what we can do is have it conditional. So we add it there, and we just do if show secret So, also yes, you can do if statements. Also note again that even the end if terminator is like a function, contains no arguments. That's how Cmake is. But in theory, this should now work. So let's try it. Dash show secret. Direct message or messages? I have to check. Show secret message. Okay. Right, let's go folder.
You get Cmake.
Oh, what have I done? What have I done? Okay, that's fine. Let's get rid of the Cmake cache. Sometimes the Cmake cache can screw you up. Options don't always go with show secret message on. And we failed it. It's just when you go everything just to be sure. So yeah, just do show secret on but. Show secret message. Defaults off. If true. Define it again. Let me just. Okay. Sorry. I ran the wrong executable. Yay, it worked. Cool. Cool story, bro. So if you did it, then sure enough, we should see if we did. Great. Okay. How's everyone else getting on? Just sitting and following each given up. Okay, so optimize the build process. This one's where it gets a bit more rather interesting. Cmake has a special version of add library, which I'm going to show you right now. What it does is it lets you generate intermediate output. Actually, before I go on to that, I just want to make sure everyone's kind of following, so I'm sort of whizzing ahead here. So you see we've got the root for Cmake this, right? This is the root of the project. Okay. It's been reduced to simply that. So it's got the minimum required version, it's got a project name defined, it's just arbitrary, what we want. And then now all this root level one does is it calls out a subdirectory to say to Cmake, go into the source folder.
Can you have more than one project on it? Definition.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I've never wanted to. I don't think you can run them in the same scope. So I think you have to have you have to launch another Cmake. But documentation tells us. So that's name, version, name, language, the entire project. Total since contain initial project. Loading one thing is not sufficient. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to say no, you can't, but if you invoke another Cmake lists via include, then that becomes a separate scope. Let's see, good very nice. I believe you can do that. Okay, so our root level one just goes into SRC, so if we go into SRC, see this, and this one is the meat of it. So we have our option directive, so that someone can set the show secret message option. We add our executable. I've decided to call it widget with capital W, so that's what the executable is going to be called. The two source files that need to go into that executable are main.cpp and widget.cpp. Then I need to tell it that the target's include directory. Technically, it will take multiple directories, but in this case, I've only got one. For the target widget, which is defined here, is a private one, which means I don't want it to be exposed when I install it, and it's just the include folder that's one level up. Then we have conditional. If they turned on the show secret message thing, we make the compiler receive an argument to set that preprocessor value. The equals one is not actually necessary, but it'll work just fine. So you can define all your preprocessor stuff in here if you wanted to. Then we add a completely new target, which I decided to call widgetlib. Obviously libraries don't execute, they don't generally execute, so they don't need a main. So it consists of purely widget.cpp. This time the targets include directories I've made public because they're exposed. I need to actually, I technically should fix up the install so that it dumps the header file in there. But this basically specifies the intended visibility it includes. In this particular case, since all it includes is its own widget.h, if somebody wanted to use the library, they would need widget.h. So that's what should be exposed. And then finally, this install line, this just tells Cmake to generate behavior for installing. If you don't include an install, you just can't do an install with your Cmake, which is fine. All you want is for it to just spit out some binaries and you to run them, and that's good enough. But even with this line, it won't just install. So you can run the build and it'll just build. To install, you have to actually do like make install or ninja install or whatever your generator's install process is. Not all generators have an install, so the most obvious one would be Visual Studio. Visual Studio doesn't install stuff. So this install line does absolutely nothing if you're generating a Visual Studio project.
What are those different things we need install?
Sorry. Say that again?
What is, I know what targets mean, but what runtime destination being?
Okay, yeah. So the targets are obviously these two, and then we say I want the runtime destination. So that's anything that's an executable, anything that's something you can physically run. So in this case, the add executable is the only thing. And that means I want it to go in a folder called bin. So where it actually goes on disk is up to whoever runs Cmake. And if you run Cmake, you can do -d Cmake _install _prefix. So if I go back a second, I'll just show you. Cmake install prefix. So this variable, again, it's not something you should not set this as a developer. This should be something the person building it can set because they know where they want the program to live. Okay, if it's Windows, then yeah, fair enough. But the different Linux distributions, for example, some use user bin, some will use bin, some have weird ch root stuff they want to do. So in this particular case, I think it defaults to user local if you don't do it specify it, and there's no reason for you to override it. So just by default, if no one provides anything, it will try and install itself to user local bin for the executable. And obviously for the static library archive, it will try and dump it into user local lib. And then we didn't build a dynamic library, but if we did, this directive would tell it to dump that in user local lib as well.
It's an extension for static versus
.a.
.a.
Yeah, as in archive.
And what? SO?
SO1 actually. Yes, SO. Yeah. So is that
What's that stand
is that all clear? Is that clear enough for everyone? Easy enough to follow? Anyone having trouble attempting it?
Too quick.
for? Yeah, just do it.
Go through it, yeah. So okay, so here's what we got. Okay. So this is the client project, right? Do that. I might be able to read it though. So I made a build folder. You probably don't have that. I made a Cmake. You have the Cmake list, right? So that is it. It's 3 lines.
So that's the main
It's the root
Cmake.
level Cmake list, yes.
Okay. So basically, you moved from the main Cmake list, the executable line.
Well, essentially what it does is it just goes, this top level one is now very simple, it just goes into add subdirectory. It goes into SRC via the add subdirectory command. this is obviously very useful because, for example, say you have a source folder, you might also have a test folder, and so you can do add subdirectory source, and then that runs the Cmake list in the source folder to build all the output, and then you can do add subdirectory test, and you can have a Cmake list in there that does all your, generates all your unit testing stuff and all that. And additionally, you could conditionally go into your test subdirectory. So maybe in some cases, someone doesn't want to build the tests because they're not going to be developing on it. So just for efficiency. Make sense so far?
Okay.
And then go into the source folder. Now see we've got the source code that I wrote, I pre-provided, and a new Cmake list in there, which is this. And then it's got some so the bit that matters, the bit that actually matters that you need is these two lines essentially are it. For task one, all you need are those 2 lines. The rest of it's gump from the extra tasks.
Do we need to have the include widget.h there?
Where's that?
Well, because we have in include, we got the widget.h file?
No, because it's expressed in terms, the includes for the compiler are expressed in terms of directories, not individual include headers.
I see, okay.
So when the compiler is told includes live here, it's expecting a directory, not a file.
What is the public declaration?
So that affects visibility essentially.
It's kind of like normal programming public file.
Yeah. Visibility in terms of a build system.
Yeah, that's very fine.
Cool. So we did the installation phase, we did the secret message, should we do the optimize the build process? So this should be hopefully fairly straightforward. I actually never used this. I discovered it. I was like, oh, I should make people do this. So make these as like added challenges. So this called in here object libraries. So create an object library, blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's give it a shot. So no.
So what on earth is an object library?
It's basically just the .o stuff that the compiler spits out for the translation unit.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
We use interface libraries we've got.
So obviously what you could do is you could have an add library that just generates an archive or generates a dynamic, you don't want a dynamic one, generates an archive. This is a bit cheaper than that. Okay. So, what's that library? Oops, wait 1 sec. I haven't. Yes, I do.
Yeah. By the way, you know that camera is pointed right.
I don't know, that's why I'm holding like this.
Okay. Just say.
Okay, so add library, let's just call it widget obj. That's just an arbitrary name for this object library. I mean, is everyone sane so far with what we've got? We've got an option that you can pass. Did everyone see that one? Is that all clear?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then this, and then when I use it here, this was clear, right? It's an if statement. If the option has been set, then we inject show secret messages equals 1 into the C++ preprocessor. And then in my source code, I made it have an if def to check it.
What would be used for that?
Well, preprocessor definitions.
I mean, this message. Is there anything?
No, there's no purpose in the message itself. It's just a demonstration of setting preprocessor defines. right? So I mean, I'm not a fan of if defs, obviously, but they do have their purpose. So for example, maybe you have some debug code in an if def, right? So if def debug, blah 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 blah. Debug is probably a bad example because if you do a debug build in Cmake, it defines debug for you in the preprocessor for free. You don't have to actually do that. But I don't know, maybe you have extra debug. So you have a if def extra debug, spam load of crap to the console. Well, then in your Cmake build, you need a way for someone to decide if they want that turned on, that feature compiled in or not. So you would declare an option called like, you know, extra debug, option extra debug, you know, displays spammy messages, default it's turned off. And then you have an if statement, if extra debug, target compile definitions, name of your application, mark it as private because there's no need to expose it unless you have a reason to. And then instead of that you put extra debug, you don't actually need the equals one. And then when it builds it, it will have extra debug set in the preprocessor, so whatever code is inside there will get built.
Okay.
What is the preprocessor definition? If you don't say private, you say public, where does it go?
Oh, so that doesn't actually affect, so doing public doesn't actually affect the project itself. It's just projects that, any projects that depend on that project will then be able to see the definitions that are set. So if you set it to private, they're not seen by stuff that depends on it. If they're set to public, they can be seen. Good enough? Alright. So we're going to do that, and I had to put a special magic word, which is just object. It's super simple, isn't it? Okay, so that's added the library. Oh, not there. Okay. Is it add dependencies or target? No, it's add dependencies, isn't it? Okay, so let me just break this up a bit so it's more readable. So I've now declared the library that will just build the object output. So for it to actually work sensibly, I need to actually make the executable depend on the intermediate stuff. We didn't even do that. Source. Wherever the objects using the expression form target objects. Oh, that's cool. I don't even need to do that. Okay, so I take it all back. I don't actually need to use add dependencies. That's quite nice. So it's going to obviously be video watch. I'm going to make it a bit more sensible. Only this is common. Obviously, main is unique to this. The other one is not. So then my library, which is here, I can now say you just reuse the object. Again, it's called. I don't think there's anything more to it, is there? It's the name. Cool. Alright, so in theory, that should just work. But we'll see. No such file or directory. Silly me. Okay, so obviously, even though it's an object library, it's bound by the exact same rules as everything else. Anyone guess what's wrong? So the error was fatal error widget.h, no such file or directory. So can't find widget.h.
Is it
They're not widget objects, and target include is not the
Say that again?
We need target include directory.
Bingo! That's exactly what we need. Yes. So we're just going to grab this, and we're going to grab that, and we're going to change it to J. And then I suspect in theory, actually no, we still need to include in the executable, because the executable builds main. I think in theory, this one should be unnecessary. The library shouldn't need it anymore, because the library doesn't actually build anything, it just takes an already, the library is literally just taking an already built object.
Yeah, but anybody wanting to use a library, they could.
But I didn't actually declare it, so it's meant to work properly. What I should do is, that's technically how you do it properly for the library. Having this is just for the benefit of the compiler. Having this makes it part of the library.
When you say it makes it part of the library, it doesn't make it part of the binary, right? It just, when you install it,
It makes the install phase aware of it. So now Cmake goes, okay, it has this header, I should pop that in somewhere and they do an install.
So if you have lots of headers, you have to list them.
Yeah, sadly.
Can you not make the list once and include that list everywhere? Like a variable.
So I mean, you can obviously you can do something that automates the generation of your file list. So you could run something that updates Cmake, your Cmake lists with a list of files, or your Cmake list which is loaded.
Or could you do dot include star H?
So this is.
Do you have a charger?
Oh, I have battery. No, I don't. Any chance I can borrow that one?
Yes.
How did you know these are
Sorry?
It just popped up on the screen. Thanks. The question is, where's the actual?
You can connect it here.
Go on, work the magic. Okay, cool. I'm not trying to thought completely now. Where were we?
So, yeah, if you include star H.
Oh right, yeah. So the problem with that is that no, you can't do it directly. You can use a command called file glob. So there's literally an like file parentheses, and it has a glob feature that can do exactly what you want. The problem is that it obviously only runs when you explicitly run the Cmake command. So either you need to put something around Cmake to make sure that you always invoke Cmake every time you run your build. Otherwise, you're going to add new source files or rename source files, and it's not going to be picked up at all. Whatever Cmake generated that one time when it ran, that's it. It's not going to do anything again. So you can, but it's really not recommended. You should.
And you can assign a variable to that list.
What do you mean assign? But yeah, if you had a large list, so something you could do is like, I don't know, set, we call it widget headers. Do like A.H, B.H, C.H, right? And then you have set widget sources, A.C, B.C, C.CDB, etc. And then you can use them. So, for example, I could go here, and then I would just do use the variable widget sources, and then that'll substitute in all ones that are defined. So yeah, you can. If you don't want to repeat yourself, you can use them all over here, of course. Do what? Oh, I do. It's a back ticking fact. No. Okay, that's not working at all. Oh, F, does that work? Okay, so let's see if it actually works. Hey, it does. Easy. Good chat. Cool. So that was surprisingly trivial. So this one, these are the ones where I'm just getting a bit silly now, but they're all very doable. So I wanted to say that if the pre-process definition underscore C++ is less than 2023, which given the year we're currently in, definitely will be, then we can just throw up a little message. There's a few different ways to tackle this though, and to be honest, I think the best way to look at our options is go here. So, we've got a few choices. So one of the ones it can do is literally just try and compile some C++ code for you and see if it fails. Am I in the wrong place? Am I in the wrong place? You know what? Let's just Google it. Cmake test preprocessor definition. I almost guarantee that. Sounds slightly dangerous. Well, maybe not. No, that doesn't sound good.
In the tutorial there was a section on how to write a little test program.
No, so I don't
It runs during configure time.
So I've actually done that before for a library. Go ahead.
There's a Cmake known features
What are you looking for?
for web.
No, these are just properties. So one of the is it generate expressions or generate? No. The joys of looking through the documentation.
Particularly Cmake documentation is
It's a very large.
It's thorough.
It is
but
very large.
It's not as it seeing that not necessarily easy to find your way around. If you don't know what you're looking for.
No.
So it's requiring language first, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it's in commands. There's literally one that lets you run a bit of source code.
But surely you want to
I
test
just need to find it. Sorry?
Surely you want to test the pre-processor rather
But
than
to do that, it has to invoke the
Do.
compiler.
Yeah.
To invoke the compiler, you use space just to give it a source file. Just an empty
Ah.
main that returns true or false.
There we go. Yeah, try compile, that's the one. So try compiling source files. I want it to try and compile something in text because it won't do
you
that.
can query a compiler for its internal.
For its version number, the compiler version, yeah, but in order to find out the definition of the macros that it defines, you'll actually have to invoke the compiler. I don't think there's any command line option to DCT to tell it.
Well, we've got what we need really. So we've got a try compile, and now we just need to give it some source code that we can make fail, right? So what do we have to give it? Let's see. We don't want to give it a whole project. Source files, that sounds reasonable. In this one, we're using one or more source files, include it from main. Cmake will create a Cmake list files for the source as an executable looks something like this. Blah blah blah. Okay, so I suppose the first thing to do is use file, right? So we can use Cmake file to spit out the source file. So which one is writing content? Let's see. Write file name content. That will work nicely. So to see next. Okay. So where can we stick it? We'll just stick it right at the top thing. Okay. File. Right. CP23 test. And then I just put a string down. Does it even care if it's a string? I think it does not. Well, I'll do it anyway. Okay, so we do hash if underscore C plus greater than, I don't know, what was my ruling? I mean, it doesn't really matter, it's going to fail anyway, but 202.301L. Less than 202.301L. I mean, we could do hash error, couldn't we, I suppose? But I could just do some garbage as well, and that'll fail horribly.
Are you trying to get it to fail to compile?
Yeah.
Or you don't
Yeah.
the main returns?
No, the idea is that if that's not defined, it'll just fail horribly.
Well, I would say hash error.
Do what? I mean, that looks pretty much screwed. All right, let's try it. So.
It'll generate try to Cmake file.
No, at this point it'll just write that file called CPP23 test. And now the next line is going to, well, it's going to work as if it generated another Cmake. It won't actually do that.
So, try building a project, the success failure, try compiles are actually was to return result file, so we need to actually do the var, so and then it wants a binary directory, let's see.
You probably want
Oh, I want source file, that's right, yeah. What's the bin dir? Does that need, can I just put current directory for bin dir?
It looks like it's an optional arg.
Oh, that's optional.
Oh, Binder, sorry, no, that's not, isn't it?
Alright, let's just try dot sources. What do you reckon? Workshop.
Probably Cmake current binary guy rather than dot. I don't know what dot refers to in Cmake.
Okay. Let's try it.
I need to Cmake first.
We probably do. Well, it should have regenerated it, but maybe not. Yeah, that did. Can't find source. No, it is regenerated, but it can't find the source file.
So it's giving it a random.
I know why. I think it's stuck in the SRC folder. Did it? Yeah, it did. So if we correct this to then you can't find it still. It did create it though this time. So we're making headway. Did I screw up the file name? I did screw up the file name as well. Why doesn't it just indent it? I don't like that.
That's really cool,
We're missing one more thing though.
Got the
If
doesn't do things
not cat.
And we're kind of quick on the email.
Now, do I do, is it message or error? Let's see, I'm pretty sure message can make it fatal error. Fatal error, yeah.
Feed.
I'm just going to do that. So the destructive message. Okay. Yay! We made it fail. But just to make sure that it does really work, I'm going to flip this. So it's definitely not going to be greater than it. So now it should succeed at compiling, and it does. So it works like a chat. Okay.
So do you have to chuck that out the window now?
Oh no, I've broken everything. And then the final one was to read in system environment variable. So let's give that a shot. Let's see. Back to the documentation. How can we read environment variables? You know what? I'll Google Cmake, okay? $env. Is it really that simple? It is. Literally that simple. So, edit this. If not, was it braces or curly? It was braces. Oh, I see how it is. That's some lovely stuff there, isn't it, really?
What is that?
What?
Hard is over up there.
That's just, so in the instructions it says that if its tile is over, right, then it should not fail. So the idea is that you don't have to use 23. No. If this silly variable is set, then we just give a warning instead. So, else. And we just copy this, paste it in, and then make it a warning instead. I think it's warning, not warm. I'll just check. So it says it's warning. So it's the idea of this is really just to get you into the feeling of using conditionals. But let's see what happens.
I'm not convinced that's going to do what you think.
Sorry?
What is it?
That is not doing what I think. Because it just warned me instead.
What do you say that? Because the conditional's kind of wrong, because it's checking for it being empty when, unless you've actually set it.
I was basing that on this answer here on Stack Overflow actually. Part of today was a bit of silliness, but let's try this then.
Because I mean, more commonly you'd set it to be something.
Yeah. I'm not sure entirely how valid this is in Cmake though.
You still have more.
Say that again, sorry?
So if you don't have that set, okay.
It's not set, but I'm not sure of that syntax.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that it's perhaps the not that's the wrong bit, not the least or unequal bit.
Based on that, and that's what they were saying. That's what this example shows.
It's so tiny I can't read that from here.
Well, if I do this.
Hey, that's
So this guy is saying this, but I don't know if he's necessarily correct. That's the catch.
Is that the question or the answer?
That was the answer. Let's have a look this way. Yeah, it's got env. So if it's not, then do this.
It doesn't even record.
That's a good point. Is it in quote? No, it's not in quotes here. The official cross-platform is to just Cmake host. Oh no, that's for a host name. Never mind, it's not for that. Okay. No, it does think it still thinks it's set. That's interesting. Right, well, I threw the last task in as a sort of silly exercise, and I've been defeated by myself. Unless it's something as daft as this. Nope. Still matches. Right, what if I do this? And swap them.
Hold on, why would you have to swap?
Well, because I just inverted the logic. So I said now if this is equal to nothing, F. Oh no, they were the wrong way around all along. It was working and they were the wrong way around. Ah. Okay. Well then, okay, so it's now empty. Oh joy, okay. Now it all makes sense. Now it all makes complete sense. Does it fail now? Yeah, it's, okay, so it does work, it works great. So now if we do Cmake, oh no, let's do it in front of it. TARDIS. Hey, it does work, it worked all along, I just had the logic reversed. Okay. Well, apart from that wonderful little slip up of the reversing the if and the else, I didn't even notice. Yeah, that's all 7 tasks basically completed.
Create a solution by the project.
Yeah,
So
push the
can you
changes.
just go back to the Vim?
Absolutely. What do you want to look at? Cmake?
Yes. Okay, there is a way, so according to this, you can do if defined end thing.
Literally defined. So you're saying
Yeah, you don't include this, yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's what Stack Overflow is saying here, but
Let's try it.
Except
Oh,
now
so
you've got
you-
your logic reversed again, haven't you?
Well,
yeah, if not defined.
thing is I'm on ZSH, so it's probably still defined. Or not.
Well, if you just put it in front. We
Sorry.
just check that with the environment variable does reverse the behavior, because then that will prove that it is a logic.
So if defined, you get the error, and if not defined, you get the warning.
Oh, it's we've reversed it again.
Not
We've
defined.
reversed the logic again. Now,
Programming business is hard.
especially we didn't sleep. Okay, there we go, now it errors.
Cmake.
Now it errors. And if we do the other one, it still errors. You lied to me. You lied to me.
Sorry, well,
It never defines. Yeah, okay, that doesn't work. Well, if you use stir equal, that does work. You know that works. We verified that. In fact, I undo this. No, it's not. Okay, so. I don't want the not though, do I? If
You
this.
do want the logic. You hold on, now you do want the logic.
No, if it's empty, then it's fatal. So if
Oh, okay.
this thing is equal to nothing, it's fatal. If it's not fatal. So it gets confusing quickly, doesn't it, this time? Sure enough, it's an error. And then if we do that, and then that, yeah, it's a 1. Cool. Alright, so that's the official answer to that one. Okay, so I think that. Why does it do this? So annoying. Alright. Questions? Any? At all?
Is it not just better to use visuals too?
Oh! Oh! What a question! Out, no. So yeah. So the answer to that is obviously simple. If you're writing an application for Windows and it's only going to run on Windows and you have no interest in ever making it cross-platform or supporting anybody else on any other operating system because you simply don't care about those people and their operating system choices.
There is only one choice.
Yeah. Then then there, yeah, you can have anything you like as long as it's Windows.
I knew a department in Credit Suisse that did Linux C++ program. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean you can now host stuff across it. Yeah, if you don't particularly care, then no. On the other hand, if you do, it's going to be a sort of very poor experience for you and anyone else who wants to use it. I mean, generally speaking, it depends on what you're building. So, if you're building an application, it's okay. There's quite a lot of people that do cross-platform applications these days, but it's not uncommon that people will do applications that are just for, say, Windows, and then you probably don't care. On the other hand, if you're doing things like libraries, especially in C++, you're generally going to get frowned upon if you go, here's a Visual Studio project, have fun. Like someone's going to just be like, if it's a really good library, and then they say like, no, they will not be happy. So libraries are generally something that's supposed to be cross-platform because you want everyone to use it. So that's where Cmake really comes into its own. I mean, as you can see, it's got a lot of features, and it's certainly a beast. It's not one of those things I will ever memorize. It's always going to be a case of going to documentation, pulling out what bit I need, looking on Google for the most idiomatic way to utilize it. And again, it is very easy to get things horribly wrong in Cmake. So test. Like always run that Cmake command and see if you're getting the expected output. But no, generally speaking, if you want to target cross-platform, it's the nice way. It's currently the best way to go in terms of working inside the ecosystem. Because you could potentially go Bazel or Meson or whatever, but you're going to be a niche if you do.
What does C-Line do?
C-Line uses Cmake. C-Line is basically
the newest versions of Visual Studio can use Cmake natively as well.
Yes, they can. I've used it extensively. It's reasonable. It unfortunately has one drawback, which is that it sticks. What it actually does is it generates a temporary directory under like app data local or app data roaming, one of the two, with a long random GUID. And this becomes a problem when, for example, you have a Cmake project that pulls in Boost.
Hold on, let's just switch off the recording so our sponsor doesn't hear that, and then we'll continue.
No,
I'm just joking.
I'm talking about Visual Studio, not C-Line.
Oh, so yes, then continue.
Yeah. So Visual Studio sticks it in this GUID directory. And if you pull in something like Boost on Windows is a really fun experience, and by fun I mean agonising, because it's a massive tarball with some really long directory paths, and obviously Windows maximum path length until recently, and even then you have to do a load of jiggery pokery, is 255 characters. And Visual Studio has already managed to stick it in this pretty long folder. So when you hit build, and then it gets to the point of downloading, downloads Boost, and then it extracts Boost, and then it starts doing the extraction, and then everything just implodes because, oh no, the paths are too long, that's it, you're out, go away. And you're sitting there like, why did I bother? And you just fire up Cmake and stick the whole project in the root of C, because you know that will work, because that will just about fit within 255 characters. So, yeah.
So when you open up Cmake, it effectively runs Cmake in the background?
Yes. So C-Line's doing the same thing. I don't have any complaints about C-Line in that regard, because I just simply haven't tried it on Windows, and I have no idea if it would do the same to you or not.
But that's what I'm asking. Does it just run Cmake once when you import the file, or does it run every time that you try to compile?
So it won't. No, it'll run it whenever it needs to. So if you change your Cmake lists, C-Line actually tells you, it's like, oh, you changed your Cmake lists, you should rerun Cmake, and then you click the button and it reruns Cmake. They essentially have just, from what I can discern, they've wrapped the code blocks generator that Cmake has, and they just pass that output in order to feed you all the rich data you get from C-Line, which is a fine approach. I mean, I like the fact that they integrate with Cmake. I think it's the best choice. Not that I'm biased anyway. So, any other questions?
Well,
Codebox. Codebox is not bad. If you want a decent free editor, you can use Cmake to generate the project for it too. But it's not going to be as seamless as you get with CLion, obviously. I mean, it's all a matter of personal taste. I mean, my Linux development revolves around using Kdevelop, even though it tends to crash a lot. And then on Windows, I generally have to use Visual Studio.
How about Vim?
I really only use that for projects that are just way too large for any kind of code completion.
But with the you complete me.
Yeah, for a minimal level, that's good, and Vim is actually good.
I mean, how close is, in your opinion, to the CLion?
It's a different experience because it's Vim, but it uses Clang to do the processing, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Again, I don't use CLion that much. I use either Kdevelop or Linux or Visual Studio. I've played with CLion. I just haven't made the time to switch to it, even though I have a license. I will one day.
Oh, actually, did you get my email from you?
Which one?
About the license? Did you send me a license? You probably have.
No, I can just check. When did you send it?
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday was on the 27th, yeah? No, I can do that straight away. So I've got the stuff.
All right. If anyone's got any last questions, go ahead. Otherwise, I think Tom can probably wrap up.
Yeah, any questions? Okay. So let's be quickly just thanks everybody, and thank you Ollie for the Cmake. Now the next week we have, according to my blog post, April 10th, we will do the overview of design patterns. So that should be an interesting class. After that, on 17th, we'll do primer revision of concepts seen in the course up to now. So basically, it will be like a preparation for our optional test. And on the 24th, we'll pass the, actually Ollie and Tristan will pass the tasks to all people who wants to attempt to try, and you have time to complete the task, as I say, outside of the class. And after that shouldn't take too long, couple of minutes, that's it, 10-15 minutes. After that, if nothing changes, Phil Nash will be here on the 24th, and it will do basically presentation of Catch. Yes, but in meantime, if you think about any kind of small projects which you think could be used, yes, for the exam, just send me an email with the projects. I'll try to put all these ideas together and give to these two guys, and they will basically mix and pick. And so obviously, if I suggest some project, I won't get that one. I don't think even if I would get, it would be too much of trouble. But basically, we'll try to give you projects which other people suggested, and then your job will be to obviously do that. For me, that's all. Obviously, one extra thing. Try to retweet my tweets, yes, because I noticed like there's a drop on what's people retweeting on our messages.
Sorry, I don't have Twitter.
I know, but those who do, yeah. So this way, more people learn about us.
That's your mistake. You got to.
I never really understood it. I didn't get it.
Join the
Best stuff
Facebook.
about it.
Well, so basically, that's from me. That's all. So once again, thank you very much, and I hope to see you all in pub.
Yeah, you've got these happy, smiling people.
So,
Yes.
I got a question.
Yeah, go on.
I wonder, this is just a suggestion. I don't know if it's possible. If it's too much, it's probably too much work, to be honest with you. But In the next iteration, or if maybe just one session, would it be too much to look at LLVM as a way of debugging code and stuff?
You do really want to look at actually compiler tooling. So, funnily enough, that's one of the things we want to do. Actually, is compiler tooling. We didn't say specifically we favour LLVM. I mean, is there any particular reason why you fancy LLVM over anything else?
Because it's sexy.
I mean, I'm a big LLVM guy. I almost completely switched all my stuff to Clang nowadays because unless you're doing math heavy stuff, GCC is just not really a winner. Definitely. I mean, I think what we might end up doing is making it a bit more broad. So we won't just go, hey, look at LLVM and solve everything else. But I'm sure given all the tooling it's got, I know now it's going to be a big part of it. So if you particularly want it to be exclusive, you probably won't get that. But in terms of covering it, definitely.
You know, I don't think it should be exclusive. I just don't think it will be covered.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think it's going to be kind of, eventually it's going to take over whatever else the default debugging tool is, or GD.
I don't think they'll ever kill GCC. I hope they don't.
Yeah.
It's immensely valuable to have two decent compilers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything about MSVC, but you know, if you ever do get bugs, and there's been stuff that's resulted in incorrect code being output by one, it's always or compiler errors that shouldn't be errors, stuff like that. It's always immensely valuable to have one compiler that has different behaviour to another, because one of them's got to be wrong, right? So I don't think GCC will have died. I hope it doesn't.
And the other thing is, a lot of people say you should compile your code under at least two different compilers to make sure it's cross-compatible. So
Yeah.
you do under MVC as well as GCC.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think there's an implicit part of that statement that's missing, which is you should totally do this if the criticality of your code demands it.
Okay.
So if you're writing a little play thing that's something you can just go, yeah, it works, good enough, ship it, then you're probably not really gaining anything. If it's something that's critical, and if it happens to crash, then you're going to get screamed at by a bunch of really angry customers who's going to ruin your weekend or life, then definitely should go for compiler diversity wherever possible. And these days, actually, again, using Cmake, it makes it super easy to do if you're on Linux. If you're in Windows land, it's not impossible. You could generate a MingW32 build, for example. So you use MingGW, depending on how you want to pronounce it. You could use that, and then that would build with GCC or Clang. And then you could, of course, then try it with MSVC as well. So you could even try if you're on Windows, but obviously doing it's a bit tenuous if you're doing Windows API stuff, and it gets hairy. It's all possible.
I think that we could be accused of 4,000 tries a year.
What's that?
With all those happy people and
Oh.
all the comments and everything.
Yeah.
This is C++, not JavaScript.
Yeah, also, if that guy was busy coding, someone came along to talk to him. Throw down his headphones, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
This is way too dynamic as an environment for C++.
It is.
Also, it should be C++ classes for the masses. I like it.
You see, the masses are hounding me. There's an article, and I think they use the phrase C++ for masses. And I was like,
Really, is it that bad?
huh?
Is it really that bad? I mean, you know,
C++ for masses makes it sound like, the priest is going to bless it.
for the masses. For masses, yeah, the masses. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever looked at this website and be like, well, I was going to come to those free classes, but when I saw C++ for the masses, no way.
I want it to be exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh, go
When I-
JavaScript.
When I saw all this happy people, I thought, these guys are lying.
Yeah.
The thing is, C++ does attract a certain kind of person who does it because it's hard.
Attracts a
So
certain
yeah,
type.
they don't want to just do JavaScript or Python or something that's easy.
I wouldn't say I'm attracted to it because it's hard. It's because of the level of control you get from it. Because you've got all these different paradigms, right, all bunged into one language. You've got functional now, so you've got lambdas, you've got object-oriented, we've had that for years. You've then got standard, the procedural C-style trash.
There's a closure group over there. If you so told them that C++ has functional, they'd be yeah, sure it does.
Okay, I mean, there's functional. There's a varying scale. There's a varying scale of functional, right? And there's sort of nice, sensible, and then there's sort of Jesus Christ, this is barely readable. So yeah, the Haskell guys are just nuts. But again, Haskell is very specialised. Like C++, right? Is just
I think
huge.
it's more to the mindset. C++ and C are for engineers.
Yes.
And Haskell and just the different mathematicians.
Yes.
Ollie, I think that's I send you just a link. That's for everybody.
Is it safe? Is it safe throw?
It is safe.
Okay, one sec. I'll make sure it works.
Not like the usual.
No, it's nothing illegal, nothing like it.
Oh, we don't know this dodgy guy, no. Where is it? Okay.
On Slack.
Oh, Slack.
If I plug this back in, then we can get somewhere. Play with us, folks. Okay. And here we go. Oh, it's just scaling. There you go.
Yeah,
I think you know that.
I have moments like that too.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Cool.
Okay,
So
so we're done for today. Thanks very much for coming. Please RSVP all the meetings. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
So actually, on that one, all the skill matters ones are already online for this group, and I think Giacomo has already, so he's already on.
Yeah, that's really
So
amazing.
you can kind of just do all of them all at once and not bother to remember.
Yeah. I mean, there is one class which won't be happening here because there's a private. If there's like somebody comes in and says, "I'm renting the whole space," they kick us out. But then, luckily, Ollie, managed to step in always and save the day. Otherwise, we wouldn't have space. So keep an eye on our website and on Skills Matters. Yes, Skills Matter. They need our bookings in a sense. If you type the name, because then they see people are coming. On our website, then I know what's going on at least, and I can keep people updated. By the way, if I create the blog after our meeting, do you get the email about this blog is being sent? So I don't have to send you separate email saying, I just updated the blog. You get the message.
Yeah, I get an update. I don't know if that's because you actually specifically do it or it's doing it online.
Okay, good. Because I wasn't sure if it does. Okay, cool. From me.all. Any? Cool, thank you guys.
Just one thing, when are we going to cover the value thingy thing?
Well, I'll fit it in next week if you like.
Okay.
I don't quite know what I'm going to do next week.
Is the value?
Value categories.
Value category.
Yeah.
Value thing, yeah.
That's, not trivial.
Okay, not true. It's very simple before. No value, our value.
For those
End of story.
those who are interested, there is a copy of this book online on eBay as an electronic book for about £2.50.
Well, that's...
Is it? It's reasonable.
Right, to the park.
let's make a move.
What time do you guys normally go to Prospect on Thursday?
Sorry?
Usually Warner.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah. Well, no, because I don't join them anymore. I'm too cool now. But usually go for lunch first, and then maybe half one go to Costa to do actual work. And nowadays it's even later than that to come and talk to me because I'm really awkward.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You don't go anymore? You like it?
We'd have to go
Quite
from,
far away now.
yeah, Watford away.
Need to kick in.
Also, because we usually go up to our office and conference call in, so it's quiet. It's fine anyway.
It works. It works.
Oh yes, let's take that. I wouldn't walk out without it.
I started to walk out without my hat or a jacket.
Also, as a final
I can't
thought,
imagine you have ever left the house without a hat.
No, of course
You're
not.
sort of 13 years old or something.
born with this something. As a final note for everyone as well, Tom kindly notified me that I was rushing through, but if I am rushing and you don't tell me, I assume you just are getting bored and want me to get through it as quick as possible. So tell me if that's not fair.
I think we need to set like a golden rule because I'm happy to interact
Inverse the
with.
logic of it. So instead of asking, is that okay?
I mean, because
Quiet and
if I notice something, if I'm not following and so on, I try not like directly disturb you and say like, oh no, you're too fast.
That's fine.
got a can of Coke all the time.
Yes.
Either share a line how quick.
What do you get now, Christian?
Sorry?
How far away you get now?
I live in Watford now, it's just a real pain in the arse.
Are you staying there or what?
It's a long way out.
Yeah, that's right. But you know, just going on one line together. There's a straight line here from Watford. Without any changes.
In there, you put that in the bin like. That would be nice if you have to come in and find that. I'll grab the other one as well, so it's fine.
Let me do it.
Can you read from here?
Try. Otherwise, the people on YouTube are going to get something really amazing.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, I've done that as well. I just grabbed the both of them, so it's not nice to be done here. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
You have a key for the bottle?
I just seen that, like blue.
well, you said that they get